Hello and welcome to the MHG podcast. As usual, life could be a little bit miserable, life could be a little bit dark, so we're here to bring you as much light and as much joy as we possibly can. I'm Bradley, and I'm still with my family, and my family love me. I'm joined by Stu, who's still with his family, and his family love him. No reason to say that. How you doing, Stu?
I'm not too bad. Yeah. I'm very fortunate to have family who like me.
Yes, you are indeed. You're not chasing randoms on the internet and trying to get a billionaire author to desperately recognise you, are you?
No, not
No?
this week. No.
No? Oh, okay. I just thought that was the normal thing to do these days.
Seems
Be
to
a
be.
desperate, sad little man whose life is now just all about chasing people who disagree with him on trans rights. And while going, oh, JK, please look at me, please. Oh, can I lick the poo off the bottom of your shoe, JK?
It's not great, is it?
No. And I would like to say it'd be funnier than anything he's ever written, but unfortunately, Father Ted and the It Crowd were pretty funny. So you can't, at least you can't throw that at him. You can't go, oh, that's funny as anything you've ever done, because, mate, you were very good. But you'll never be able to make your Abner Smoke and your Magnum Opus. You'll never, or Opus Magnum, I'm going to get it's whatever one it is. You'll never be able to do it because no one wants to work with you.
Yep.
In saying that, fault with the trans community because what's going on is disgusting. But also there is some heartening stuff coming out of all this. The amount of cis women on like TikTok and other social media places that are coming out in strong support of trans women is just really good to see. The amount that are now pointing out, if a man wants to attack someone, they don't need to pretend to be a woman to do it. And if your issue is that men are going to dress up as or disguise themselves as a woman to get access to you, your problem is not with trans women. Your problem is still with men. And just the general solidarity is amazing. But then you've got obviously the TERFs and the gender criticals think they've won their little war and are now showing that actually it goes hand in hand with fascism and racism, because now they're moving on to foreign nationals. So yay for them.
It's just the usual pattern with all these things. It's so depressing. But yeah, I think, like you say, there's a lot of great people out there who are showing that they care and that they will accept people for who they are, and that's lovely.
And I know we're late on this, but the world is saved, of course. We know this because Katy Perry and some other no-mark celebrities kind of went up in the air. Maybe, who knows? And a real astronauts now. That's just like the funniest thing of last week. And I wanted to do a bit last week, and I kind of just mentioned it. But Jesus Christ, what are we turning into?
Yeah, I mean, that was almost worth it just for the memes, because that's been hilarious. And there's such idiots as well that they just can't articulate themselves at all. They got no brains in their heads.
My favourite one is there's a guy, and it's kind of hilarious. He's on TikTok, and he does the first bit of the interview where she goes, "Oh, you're real astronauts now," and he turns the light switch off and goes, "I'm an electrician." Flushes one and goes, "I'm a plumber." So says bless you to someone who sneezes and goes, "I'm a doctor." And then it's one of them he goes, after he's obviously had sex with his wife, he goes, "I'm a gynecologist." I'm just like, Jesus Christ. But it's just, it's brilliant. It's like, and there's another one where a woman pretending to be Katy Perry sat in her car, and she just like leans back in her car, goes amazing, and someone shouts, goes, "Katy, you actually have to drive the car."
Yeah. Yeah, it's like the that Killers song. I've got soul, but I'm not a soldier. There's like you could do, I'm an ass, but I'm not an astronaut.
Yeah. I'm like, Jesus, it's just, we all need a little bit of light relief. Unfortunately, it shows like the wealth gap, that anyone can do anything as long as you're a billionaire or millionaire or whatever it is. But it was funny. Some light relief in trying times.
Yep.
It's ridiculous.
It is,
Do
but
you know what else is ridiculous?
Oh, I was going
No, you come in. You come in. It's fine.
I was going to steal it from you.
Oh,
What else can be ridiculous?
what else is ridiculous, Stu, is this bloody release schedule and the quality of games that's coming out. Because not long after what is guaranteed Game of the Year contender Blueprints has come out, apparently the Claire Obscure, if that's how you pronounce it, I don't know, Expedition 33 apparently is another absolute outstanding Game of the Year, hitting 92s, 93s, 94s on Metacritic. So, yeah, indie games ridiculously continuing to rule the world.
Indeed. And out of said Metacritic lovies and indie darlings, which ones have you been playing?
Neither of those two this week. Actually, I do like. I've got Claire Obscure ready to go, and I've been playing on and off Blueprints. But I've been playing other games because they're not the only games, Stu. Oh no. Did you ever play the Zero Time Dilemma game, Zero Escape, Nine Doors, 999, all that stuff?
No, I don't really like those digital novel escape room things.
Oh, right, no, I did. I thought they was absolutely brilliant. So, from the developers of that, and Danganronpa, again, probably another one you've not played but heard of.
Yep.
Yeah. Comes the 100 Line Last Defense Academy, which isn't an escape room as such this time, but it shares a lot of the DNA with the other titles. So tell me if you've heard this one before. A group of students, tick, are kidnapped, tick, and they're not quite sure how it's happened, tick, and they have to defend the school, tick. And each of the characters are various degrees of just outright caricatures of different types of people. So you've got like the brave one, the crazy one, the scared one. It's just like it's all their previous titles kind of in this in terms of characterization, and I love it. I'm in for it. It's also got insane mascot, because it has to have an insane mascot. It's from there. This one just looks like a weird blob type thing with a mouth, but hey, it works. The characters, you don't have to like them. They're all flawed. You're not meant to be friends with them, but they've all got personality. It's all got that to it. The mascot's an annoying little dick, egg type thing. It's like Dizzy's had a meltdown. That's kind of what the mascot character reminds me of. He's just like, it's been like 40, 50 years since I last had a game, and I don't know what to do, and he's decided to kidnap a bunch of kids. So
fair enough.
Thank you very much, Oliver Twins. You've ruined it. All you had to do was give him a game. But anyway, you're part of this school. There's obviously all the visual novel stuff, and I won't go into that because you kind of, if you know those games, you know what to expect. It's batshit. It's honestly batshit, but it's intriguing, and I'm here for it. If you're going to do a visual novel, just go for it. But this one, rather than full on like escape room type things, it's kind of like a tactics style game, where you're on this grid, and you've got to take on various enemies, and obviously it's got all the trappings that you get there. So you mix different types of people that have different abilities, can take on different enemies and do different types of damage. They can team up and do mega damage. And while you're doing it as well, there's things like you have to collect resources and all that kind of thing that help you do other bits. And the game's on a hard limit in terms of what you've got. So you've got to defend the school for like 100 days, which is obviously, that helps because it's called the 100 Line. So, you know, there is some link to it. And you'll never believe this, right? For a game called the 100 Line Last Defense Academy, you got to defend the school for 100 days, and you'll never guess what hope you are for the school.
Are you the last hope for the school?
You are indeed. You are the last line of defence. Um, but rather interestingly with this, and like with all like the previous games from developers like that were involved with this, multiple endings are available. And I've played some other games recently. I think I spoke about one last week where it says there's multiple endings. I might have wrote about it, or one of the two anyway. They say there's multiple endings, but you kind of play it going, is there really? Is it worth going back? This, from the moment you start playing and your interactions, you're like, oh yeah, okay. There's multiple endings with this. There's multiple ways through this game. It's what I just really like. Neither elements are groundbreaking. So the gameplay itself, in terms of the tactics stuff and the battles, standard fare. You kind of learn what it all means in the first few battles. You're like, right, got it, sound, and it's just a case of min-maxing your way through that. The story, I'd say it's absolutely batshit, but again, if you know what it is, you know what it is. But it's just that the pure vibe of the game is it's something, and it's got sideways scrolling exploration to it as well, which is a nice thing to add. It's not just purely static in between battles. There is exploration to the game as well, and that adds a nice touch to make it feel that more interactive than just story being told to you. And it's just a general vibe of a game. I don't even think I'm 3/4 of the way through, and it's one of those like Danganronpa did, where it will take me, I think, months of play just on and off just to get to the end or get to a point where I'm satisfied with it. But it's one of those where I was just like dipping in, playing for an hour, and maybe progressing some of the story or doing a couple of battles, and it's just so enjoyable's the wrong word, because I never find the Zero Time Dilemma or the Danganronpa games that they weren't enjoyable in terms of sit back and relax, but they grabbed you in a way. But I think only those games can. I've never come away from those games going, do you know what? That was so enjoyable, but they're memorable. They stick with you. And this, I think, whether it creates a series, I doubt that. I don't think we're going to get a trilogy of games from this. I don't think we're going to get a series of games from this. I think this is a one and done. But it's grabbed me, and so far I must see it to the end. And it's just, it's really worth getting if you liked either of those previous games. The tactics thing is simple enough that it doesn't hold you back from what the draw of these games are. I think if you did enjoy any of them, this is a must buy.
Well, I like tactics games. I like some tactics games, but I'm guessing with this there's a lot of dialogue and a lot of cutscenes.
Yes, it makes Persona look light at times.
Okay, I'm out. That's a shame.
Yeah, if you struggled maybe with what was the Persona Musu game, Persona 5 Strikers, for example, if you struggled with that's bite size. But sacrilege, is this sacrilege? I think the story and the characters are better than the Persona games.
Right.
In terms of the Persona games, try and make characters that you can relate to. This goes the other way. You can't relate to the characters at all in terms of, oh yeah, I get it. They're real teenagers. It's just kind of look at it, just go, how do these people exist in a world? This is definitely an anime manga world, and you're just part of it. But if you're not one for reading and not one for reading, but these like long-winded stories and interactions between characters, then you're not going to get much out of it. If you want just a pure tactics game, there's others out there. I would say go for those. But again, this is for fans of Danganronpa, for fans of Zero Time Dilemma.
Yeah, fair enough. It's definitely got its own niche, which is a pretty big niche. So reasonable.
Indeed, it is. So what have you been playing that's insane and crazy and cool for cats, shall we say?
Oh, nicely done. I've been playing a game called Skin Deep, which is a very, very odd sort of first-person stealth 'em up. It's a strange one. Basically the premise is that you're some sort of insurance adjuster who's stuck on a ship in deep space.
That's a great setup, isn't it?
It is. It is. It's there's a bit of Hitchhiker's Guide, but I'll talk about all that in a minute. But yeah, there's you're stuck on this spaceship and it gets taken over by pirates, and they capture the crew who are cats, and you have to go round, pop the heads off people because we're in a future where heads have been disembodied from bodies and you can separate them and it's not a problem, and rescue the cats who are also talking cats. And yeah, it just kind of takes that level of strangeness and runs with it for the whole game, which I'm very much here for, because we need more stuff like that. Yeah, it's very strange. The gameplay itself carries on that theme. It's not completely wild and wacky and out there, but it's got some really well blended elements. So like you've got your kind of standard, Metal Gear-esque. You've got to go through a room and you've got to use your nous, your cunning, your guile, and your sneaking skills to do that, whilst also collecting whatever you need from the environment. But at the same time, it's got a bunch of stuff that you can do, meaning that you're freed up to pretty much approach it any way that you like, or in certainly a hell of a lot more ways than you could in a Splinter Cell or whatever. So yeah, for example, you'll find objects and it's best to use them. But you'll also find instruction manuals that give hints about what weird stuff you can do, like things you may not have thought about, like that you can press a soap dispenser, and because it's got alcohol in it, it's flammable and it will create a little cloud of flammability, and you can hunt out something that creates an ignition and throw it at that to explode it. And you might not necessarily think that a soap dispenser is going to be used that way, but the game will tell you that it can. And there's loads of stuff like that. And each object that you pick up that you can use in this strange environment, it's normally got like a little label on it, or it's got a little booklet, and it'll give you a little hint as what you can do with it. But you're not just limited to that either. So you could be told that, you could set fire to something with a cigarette lighter, but you also might use it to throw it at somebody's head to get their attention, or to knock them out, or to activate a button across the room. And, there's all sorts of stuff like this. And I won't spoil kind of what I've found so far, but there's loads of interactive stuff throughout the level. And as well as that, and there being the interactive stuff, there's both a substructure and an exostructure to the levels. So by that I mean you've got your normal level, and you've got vents, which is obviously like a really standard sneaking thing, but you can also go outside of the ship at points as well. So you've got like three kind of levels of how you can maneuver around, which is like a really unusual thing. There's often you're kind of fairly restricted, and there's far fewer restrictions. And it's a fairly basic looking game. It's very silly. It's over the top. It's got low polygons. It's loads of different colours. It kind of looks like a kid's cartoon, but very basic. But it's actually got, because of that, because it's basic looking, it can throw a lot of stuff at you, which is great. And it's packed full of interactive objects, and the mission and the areas are really expansive and on multi levels. And as I say, you can go into them in different ways. It's the kind of overall tone of it is very like wacky, what our American cousins would call goofy. And it doesn't really make me laugh, but I mean, we'll find its audience and make people laugh. It's a bit kind of, along your Earthworm Jim kind of style of humor, which is fine. But the gameplay itself is really, really quite something. Whether you click with it or not, I think is going to be very, very personal, because it is silly, and because you don't have to do certain things, it can be a bit okay. Can I be bothered? Do I really need to think? Shall I bother thinking about what I can do, or shall I just use my tried and true, lob in some pepper at somebody to make them sneeze so they don't see me, so I can get past them? Do you know what I mean? It's so open-ended in a way that it will drive some people off. But kudos, loads of ideas, loads of silliness, and it's really nice to see somebody stretch the boundaries of these things, even if it's not going to be for everybody.
Totally. I mean, you said like it's not funny, like you didn't make you sort of like overly laugh. Like, but I've got to say, I'm with you there. The humour's kind of hit and miss at times. But the first time I snuck into a laundry room and I was creeping up behind a guard and I was about ready to take out the guard and I slipped on a puddle of soapy water and then had to roll my character around to get him back up as the guard's going, kind of looking at me going, what the fuck are you doing? It was hilarious. I had to put the Steam Deck down just to gather myself. I mean, obviously, then when it keeps happening, it gets a bit annoying. But the first time it happened, I'm sorry, that was brilliant slapstick timing.
Yeah, it has got some really clever stuff in there. Yeah, it's it might outstay its welcome for some people, but you're right. It's got some really clever ideas in there, and it's better to try and do something a bit funny like that than it is to not bother at all and just bring out yet another serious brown coloured, shooter or whatever. So yeah, applause to them for that, and applause them for everything they've tried here. I'm really impressed, to be honest.
Yes, I believe this is the team behind Quadrilateral Cowboy as well, which again was another one that took previous ideas or took something that was a staple, not a staple, but was well known, and they just went hey with it. So I'm all here for it because they could easily have made, I think, a Metal Gear style clone game and just gone with it, but they haven't. As you said, I mean, I think it's set up to look like one of those boomer. It's almost set up to look like a boomer shooter in many ways. But then it's more of a puzzle game, I found, like how you use the environments, but as you said, you can ignore the puzzle aspect and just go, I'm just going to throw shit at someone until I can knock them out, ride them and smash their heads against different things, or create big explosions. So you've got all these things you can do, but I think it's core. I think it's a stealthy puzzle Metal Gear type game in first person, but it doesn't force you into that. And that for me is a really clever thing that they've done. And obviously there's a cat in a top hat as well at some point. So what more do you want?
Yeah, winner, absolute winner.
Yeah. No, I as they said, they sent me through accidentally sent me through a second code and was like, oh, I've already got this. I went, oh, you can keep it. Okay then, because it looks fun. But it's good. It's good. I'm glad you enjoyed it as well.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, I've still got loads of it to play, and I'm definitely going to carry on with it. So yeah, thumbs up for that.
So moving on, why have one game with a weird mascot in a 100-line last defense when you could have two or even multiple? Because I've also been playing Promise Mascot Agency, which is I don't even know how to explain this one, because I'm still not quite sure what this game is. But it's good. It's really good. So in Promise Mascot Agency, you are a member of a Japanese crime family, because why not? And stuff happens. And you've kind of got to leave town because someone dies on your watch when maybe they shouldn't have died on your watch, but you get the blame for it. If you think about Yakuza 7 Like a Dragon, it's kind of got that start intro where you take the blame for something and you then go on to do things. But instead of going to prison for a number of years and then coming back and trying to work your place in society out again, or place within the Yakuza again, instead you're sent away to go and live in this creepy town that is overrun by mascots, weird looking mascots, where the main one is called Pinky and he is a finger. And it's a finger. There's loads of other mascots, and you kind of learn to live with them and use them and kind of move through the game with them. And it's, I don't know. It's, again, we'll talk. So what we've got here is, and I'm trying to find the right words for this, is, and I don't want to link it to, it's nothing like Yakuza, but do you know how Yakuza took a world and sort of like shrunk it down so that it was open world, but it felt like you could actually traverse it. It wasn't just loads of empty space. This does the same thing with like the town you're sent to. It's open world, but everything feels like reachable, and it feels actually more lived in, more real, because it's all shrunk down rather than making you walk for 20 minutes just to go from one lived in area to another. So it shares that DNA. They've taken the right things from it. But anyway, you end up running this agency, so it's kind of like this management sim, and you've got to basically manage all the different mascots. Essentially all the mascots are just brand ambassadors. Like, they are, like, everyone knows. I don't know why I'm trying to explain what a mascot is, but they're all mascots, and they've all kind of been sent to live here because they're either, I suppose, not used anymore, or they've done something or whatever. They've each got their own personalities and ideas, and some are quite charming. There's some that are quite brash, and again, they've all got really interesting stories behind them. Sort of like you just kind of manage them, and there's movement around the world's really good, and you kind of go around. You get to go around in your little like pickup truck type thing, which is really cool, and it's really fun to do that rather than making you walk. Pinky, I say, the main mascot character, is really interesting, and I kind of like Paradise Killer. The developers on this are behind Paradise Killer. It's the main draw of this again is purely the story elements, and much like the 100 line, it's the story elements that it's all about, and the open world stuff and the management stuff. Yes, it's a larger part of the game than, say, like the tactics side of it was for the 100 line, but it's not in the way. It's just kind of like, I want more of the story. And I'm going to do this so I can get to more of the story, and I'm going to do the management aspect of it. And it's bog standard management day and like management stuff. Sorry, that kind of just helps you sort of move the story along. So you've got to like save the town and save the mascots. And give them like a reason for being, in a way. Like, I don't want to spoil much, because again, where it's a story-based game, there's so much to it. And what's really interesting for me as part of the story is, like, the human characters are bog standard affair, so they look quite normal. They're not over the top. But there's something very jarring about how over the top the mascots are. So you'll see sort of like your character having a serious conversation with a giant pinky, finger, and it's so jarring, but it's so natural to them. But when I say it's jarring, it's not like I can't buy into this. It's just you can't look at it. You just kind of, at the start you're going, what am I even? What is this? I don't know what this is. But after a couple of hours, already you're just like, it just doesn't matter. It feels normal, and you're kind of like, you're not looking at all the mascots going, what? You kind of go, oh, okay, and then listen to them, and you kind of like drawn into their stories. But it blends really well, that mix of anime manga style cutscenes with like beautifully drawn line art, with 3D movement and stuff like that afterwards, where not cheap, but it kind of looks almost 360 era visuals. It's almost a bit jaggedy in some ways, but it's definitely an art style choice rather than they don't know what they're doing. It's an art style choice to have these two things completely different. It brings an unsettled, like you feel quite unsettled in places in a way that the game wants you to feel. And again, without trying to ruin any of the story, that comes across as to why they would want to do that. And it's one where like, I don't think I could sell it to people. I really don't think I could sell it to people because it's just go in, discover it. But trying to go, oh, it's this mascot game about managing mascots, but it's not really that. It's about all the story. Yeah, it's a hard sell verbally to give, which is not great for someone who reviews games. But it's I've again hours and hours with it. I got a code for this well early, which I'm really happy about, and it's just absolutely enthralled me. Another one where maybe an hour and a half at a time, and this one is relaxing in a way that the 100 line wasn't. It's so satisfying to play. Whether it's for anyone, I want to say yes, everyone should play it, but I don't think it's one where everyone's going to sort of like get what it is. And again, I suppose if you're into your narratives, you're going to get loads out of it. If you're not someone who likes visual novels, then I don't think this is going to be for you. I don't think the other elements are enough to go, right, I can ignore this and do that. Which is a shame. Whereas I'm usually the opposite. If you give me a really, really good game to play and the narrative's overly long or a bit boring, I don't know, it's a slight irony me talking about overly long and boring, but if the narrative's not quite there, I can skip it. You can skip it. This is not a game where it's like, oh, the gameplay's there and I can skip the story. This is story first. So you have to consider that before you play it. But I love it. I think it's absolutely brilliant. The mascots are brilliant. The characters are brilliant. The story's brilliant. And it's absolutely outstanding.
Nice one. Yeah, I mean, it looks like No More Heroes and Shenmue took a bunch of drugs and went from there.
Yeah.
Fair point.
And they finally found some sailors.
Yeah. Yeah, so there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't know what it is about weird blob type mascot type things, but 2 in a week, it's a lot. We still need to bring back Dizzy.
And
there's a tofu. I'm fairly sure there was a tofu character in there as well, which was really weird. And it was a very camp tofu character. So yeah, why not?
Yeah, I was looking at the trailer on Steam, and it's got a weeping tofu character.
Yes, that was it. Yeah, he's very camp as well. Again, there's something you've got to understand. It's very some tongue-in-cheek humour, but it's all done in good faith. Because I've seen sort of like other things where they've gone, oh, we're going to have a character that's camp, and it's just like, mate, that's not right. Everything here is definitely done in good faith. So you might be looking at some bits of humour going, oh, where are you going with this? And then you're like, all right, yeah, okay, that's fair enough. It's harmless. It's absurd. The game is just absolutely absurd. I think that's the word I would use for this one.
Very good. Nice to have something a little bit different.
Well, we've had 3 of them, so can we have something a bit normal next week?
I think we'll have to.
Yeah, there's too much different. Next week we're playing Brown Shooty Man 4.
I'm still stuck on Brown Shooty Man 3.
I've actually got coming up and one I bought, but I can't. So I've got to cover it, but I will be covering it. A game that's a sequel, but is actually the first game, and it's just brilliant. And I might chat about it next week. But Creepy Redneck Dinosaur Mansion 3, by the guy who done what did he do? I Am Your Beast, and so Xavier Nelson. He's done a whole bunch of like really good first-person shooters and stuff like that. This is another one he's done, and it's just yeah. I'll talk about it next week because it's absolutely brilliant. But yeah, I will go on now if I don't shut up.
Yeah, probably best that we leave it there. Some good stuff this week though. Some really good recommendations this week. Yeah, and we're gonna hurt your wallet trying to keep up with all this good stuff. And next month we've got Doom: The Dark Ages coming out as well, which I'm gonna have to leap on with both feet. So,
it's probably the one I'm least interested in. It'll be good, And hopefully it's in engine or whatever they use, so they'll get it working on the Steam Deck or whatever easily as well. But yeah, it's probably the one I'm least interested in, but it's still good looking.
Yeah, it certainly is. I'm looking forward to that one. But yes, until then, as usual, follow us on all the socials. Make sure you're checking out our content on the website. Join us on Discord to chat. And in the meantime, until next week, stay safe and stay sane.